A life worth living is one that contributes something of value. So what is the purpose of your life? I believe every human, or every conscious human, eventually gets to a point where they start asking themselves that question. What is the point to living? What is the point to life? And more specifically, what is the point to my life? And when we start asking those questions, it opens up an opportunity for us to have a really honest, real and authentic conversation with ourselves and with hopefully greater parts of ourselves that have some idea about why it is that we actually came here. It's an opportunity for us to get in alignment and in attunement and in connection with the indwelling entity, which is the soul or the spirit aspect. So I believe that this is a common question, and rather than seeing humanity through a negative lens, I really do believe that most people, most conscious people with some level of heart awareness and love in their heart want to live a meaningful life. They want to live a life that is worth something and that in the end matters. And ultimately, what I believe to be the case is that a life well lived is one that leaves this place better off for us having existed. So a very selfish and self-indulgent life is one that is lived purely for the purpose of taking, purely for the purpose of consumption. It's a life lived where you come here and rather than contributing or giving anything of value, you just take and take and take. You consume, you consume, you consume. You swallow, you swallow, you swallow. It's all about you. It's a very selfish focus, or even just you and your clan, which ultimately is still just about you as well. So a life that is well lived, a life that is of value, is one that is not just about the act of consumption. It's not just about fulfilling the self or trying to fill or plug a hole in the self, but is one where you actually bring and you contribute something of value to humanity, to the planet, to other people, to the ones that you love, to nature, to the environment, to any and ultimately all aspects of your life. The world is better off for you having been in it. But how do you measure that? How do you measure the success of your life? For a lot of people, they measure the success of their life by the amount of reward that they receive. So still, even though they might be giving and trying to do something good, they measure the goodness of what it is that they're doing by what it is that they receive. And what it is that they receive might be belongings, it might be getting good money, it might be getting rewards, it might be getting recognition, it might be fame, it might be notoriety, it might be power. So a lot of people are gauging the success of their life by the reward that they receive for their actions. So they're still gauging the success of their life by something that is external and that is ultimately is selfish and is about the self. So even attempts at being altruistic, and this is the ongoing question, right? Does altruism really exist? Because even in the attempts to be altruistic and to leave the world better off for us having been a part of it or having had a life here, still there's this way of gauging and of understanding or trying to understand the level of the success of our life based on input that we receive from the environment. So how much money do I get paid for this? How much free time do I get as a result of this action? How much promotion do I get? How much material possession do I end up with? How much recognition do I get? But what I want to put to you is that the value of you, the true value of you, and the true way of gauging your value as a human being, and the true way of gauging the value of your life. So the true value of your life is in what you do in private. It's not what you do in public that gets you the reward. It's what you do in private. It's what you do when there is no reward or there's no chance of reward. It's what you do when there is no chance of recognition, when no one's going to know about it. No one's going to even thank you for it. No one's going to recognize it. What do you do in those moments when there's no reward coming your way? What do you do in those moments when you could perhaps get away with it? No one's watching. You could do what you wanted. And it's in those moments, it's in those quiet moments, it's in those private moments, it's in what we do when there's no chance of receiving something in return. There's no chance of notoriety or recognition. It's in those moments. It's in the value of those actions and those choices that we make that we can find the true value of our life, and we can find the true quality of our nature. And we can discover who it is that we truly are. So everyone has this public life, and that's what they do on the outside. That's what they present to the world. And oftentimes we gain reward for what it is that we do in our public life. It's just the way that it is. You get paid for working. You get promoted when you do a really good job. If you're a good partner or a good friend or a good parent, then you get recognition. If you're really good, or you get thanks of some kind. If you're really good in the performing arts, you get rewarded with applause at the end or with a bouquet of flower. So in our public life, there is the opportunity for reward, and that's a fine part of life, as long as we're giving reward in return as well, and we're letting people know when we appreciate them and when we really value what it is that they're bringing to the table. But what I'm talking about here is what you do behind closed doors. It's what you do in your quiet time. It's what you do in your private time when no one's looking at you, no one's around, no one can reward you, but also no one can tell you off or tell you that you're wrong or tell you that you're misbehaving or give you a kick up the bum to cause you to get back in line. What do you do in those moments? Because in those moments, though, you're not in the public. You're not presenting yourself to the public. What you do still matters. It still amounts to something. And in fact, I would say that it matters more. And I would say that it amounts to more than necessarily what you do in your public life and what it is that's presented to other people. So you're not just contributing to the world when you're in the public or when you're seen, when you're noticed, when you're recognized. You're contributing in all moments. So what are you doing in your private time? What are you doing when you can get away with being less than the ideal? Are you still choosing the ideal? Are you still holding yourself to very high standards? Are you still loving? Are you still providing? Are you still caring? Are you still full of joy and wonder and ease and grace? Because not only are you contributing physically through your actions, through your interactions and your engagements, at all times and in all moments, you are also contributing to the world energetically. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling? How are you behaving when it's just you? Are you bountiful and plentiful and generous in your public life, but then greedy and selfish and feeling that you are deprived in your private life? What is the difference there? What is the split there? And it's really worth pondering. How are you in your public life? How are you in your private life? And then doing our best to bridge the gap or bridge any discrepancies between our inner reality and our outer reality so that we can come to a place of wholeness and equanimity, a place of love and generosity in all parts and all aspects of our lives, because that's ultimately how we end up living a life that is worth something. You might not go down in history. The chances are you won't go down in history. You might not be remembered beyond this life or beyond the immediate relatives that know you in this life. And if that's how you're gauging the success of your life, you might lose all of your riches. You might lose your home. You might lose those things that you're being rewarded with by the external environment. So you want to live your life in such a way that even if you lose those things, even if you lose the reward, you lose the thing that you're gaining from the external world, You know and you are satisfied that your life was still one of value. You still brought value. The world was still a better off place because you were in it. So your life isn't, the value of your life isn't judged on external things. The value of your life is judged on, well, your feeling of inner peace, because you'll know if your life is one that has been lived well, you'll know, you'll feel it, you'll recognize it, you will feel in place, you will feel more love and more joy naturally in all parts of your life, not just when you're performing, and also not just in your private life, but in all aspects of your life. So it's across the board, you achieve this state of equanimity, wholeness, peace, love, joy. And you bring that to all parts and all aspects of your life, because what you do in private matters. And again, in a lot of ways, it matters more because that's what you do and that's how you behave when no one's watching and when you could get away with performing badly. So are you performing well at all times and in all parts of your life? And what's your motivation for that? Because in your public life, if you're performing well, you could very well be motivated by the promise of reward. So how you're behaving in your private life is how you behave when there is no promise of anything. So are you a good person because you are promised reward? Are you performing well because you are promised something in return? Or are you a good person and living a life that is of value, contributing a life that is of value, simply because that's who you are and you wouldn't choose anything else? Even if you had the opportunity, you wouldn't do it any differently because you're living out of and you're bringing your true nature. And for all of us, we need to work on refining our nature and bringing it up to scratch so that we don't have to perform for the public. All we have to do is be who we really are. And who we really are in public is the same as who we are at home. It's the same as who we are when we're in the privacy of our own little dungeons where there's no one except ourselves. We're still the same. And that's a life that's meaningful. That's a life that's worth something. You're contributing something that is of value then. And you're doing it all the time, not just some of the time. Because how often are you living a life that is of value and you're contributing something that makes the world a better place? And then how much of the time are you just taking or consuming or being self-indulgent or thinking about yourself? That levels out. It equals out to a life that is kind of redundant in the end. So you could have the quietest life with very little engagement with the outside world. And you might compare that to a bombastic life that's out in the spotlight, but was ruled by consumerism and greed and the searching for reward. And this quiet life that was lived behind the scenes may have been a life which is of way more value than that bombastic life that perhaps might go down in history. So it's not about the recognition, it's not about the immediate reward. It's about the value of the energy that you are contributing. The value of the inner essence and your ability to bring through and to express the inner essence and the truth of who and what you really are. Did you ground the innerness and the truth of your being here? Did you live it in every moment? Did you share it truly altruistically? Did you love? Did you bring love? Did you contribute love or did you contribute fear? So that would be my little musing for today, and something that's well worth unpacking. What are your motives? What is a life that is worth living? What is a valuable life? Who are you really? How do you bring that? How do you contribute that? Are you chasing reward? Or are you truly whole and living out of that wholeness? In all moments, regardless of who's around or who sees or what the reward may or may not be. All right. Love you guys. Have a ponder on that. Let me know in the comments what you come up with, because I'm very interested. And follow along for more.